Hi. Okay, so it's a little bit later in the evening, and I just wanted to do a final post tonight about one other thing that people have brought up that I haven't had a chance to talk about yet. Lots of people are worrying about the SAT and the SAT2 and the ACT and how delays in these tests are going to affect our chances and our relative competitiveness with other students, given how many cancellations have happened in the past few weeks and what might end up happening to the June test coming up. So the first thing I'm going to say is that schools in the US all talk about how the SAT and the ACT and the SAT2 are just one part of a multifaceted application review that really takes into consideration as many components of who you are as you share with them. So they're going to look at your activities, they're going to look at your SATs, they're going to look at your grades, they're going to look at your teacher letters of recommendation, they're going to look at the way that you express yourself in essays, and they're going to try to figure out who you are and whether you're a good match for the school. That said, I have found with international students, the SAT can be a really strong indicator for what your chances are, especially if you're a high-need student looking for lots of scholarships, because there are a lot of applications from Vietnam going to American schools, and because there isn't very much variation between students and their transcripts, given that everyone is in the same curriculum taking the same classes. I have found an already pretty large amount of flexibility when it comes to testing, and an understanding of schools that I've been speaking to that this year especially test flexible or test optional is really going to be the way to go. There have already been a few really key examples that I would not have predicted 6 months ago that have sort of shown that schools are leaning in this direction, and I think over the coming months we're going to see a lot more of that. A really great example is MIT, which has recently removed the SAT subject tests as requirements. They did this, in my opinion, because of the COVID situation. But when they're talking about their reasons for removing them, they're talking about those tests as abilities, as the ability for those tests to predict your success at school, and that the SAT2 really isn't as crucial as they maybe used to think it is. So they have removed that as one of their options, and that is one of the most exclusive schools that there is. Then we can look a little bit more in the moderate range, and we see a school like Case Western, which usually has quite strong SAT averages and 75th percentiles. All the students working with me know that we point at that 75th percentile as like our goal score. That's really where we want to be if you want to have a good shot. Case Western has gone test optional this year, fully test optional, which means that you can apply to Case without even having an SAT. Now, do I think it's a great idea for you to apply without one? No. Do I think that you should do your best to register for a test and to keep preparing for the SAT so that when we can get a shot in August or when we get a shot in October that you take it and you do well on it? Of course. Do I think that the students who have a strong SAT score are going to have a better shot than the students who don't take it at all? Of course. But what we're seeing is schools trying to demonstrate through their policies that they are going to be looking at the whole person and the context that person comes from. They're going to be looking at what options you had and what options were removed because of the COVID virus. So I'm feeling really good about this because schools that tend to be really, really quantitative in their assessment of students and their opportunities to do well on campus are really taking a second look at that in light of everything that's going on. I expect over the next few months, we're going to see a lot of schools leaning in the test optional direction. I will say, as sort of a final thing, that Vietnamese students who are looking for big scholarships still need to make sure that they have badass scores. Badass SAT scores are a really important way, even for test optional schools, of showing that you are the cream of the crop, right? We want to show that you're special, that you're advanced, that you can handle things. And doing that in the context of a really scary, really stressful, really fluctuating global health pandemic is going to be an awesome way of setting yourself apart. But the nice thing is these schools are not relying on it anymore, and they are not emphasizing it anywhere near as much as they used to. So if things continue to go wrong, if your testing isn't what we expected, it isn't as important as it was last year, and schools are trying to pay attention to everything that's going on as they look at your application this fall. If you have any questions about the SAT requirements, or about how they're going to maybe be looked at by a specific school that you love, or about what other things that you think might receive more emphasis now that the SAT is kind of being pushed down in the list a little bit, please send me an email so that we can chat more about it. Okay? Thanks so much.